don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking president. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car.
Oh! On the streets of Minneapolis, the verdict was immediate. An ICE agent is a murderer, an activist was dead, and the United States federal government was to blame. This is the narrative presented to you. It's loud, emotional, and designed to provoke outrage. But it is not the full story, because the events on that street unfolded almost exactly as federal law and use of force policy predict they will. Hello travelers, 10,900 of you are subscribed because you still care about common sense. The other 88%, you're watching, you're nodding along, but you're not subscribed. So if you care about facts over outrage, hit that button. The death of Renée Good was not a random tragedy. It was the predictable result of a decade of political theater. For years, prominent American politicians have cast federal immigration agents as a villainous occupying force. They normalized defiance and actively encouraged obstruction as a form of moral righteousness. This rhetoric created an environment where a physical confrontation with armed federal agents was no longer unthinkable, but for some, a principled act. And when that confrontation turned deadly, the same political establishment that wrote the script feigned shock at the ending. Now, to understand the events in Minneapolis, you have to examine the years-long pattern that set the stage. The Abolish ICE movement became a mainstream political brand. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez made it a central slogan. She called for the occupation of ICE offices and airports. The message was clear: do not comply, defy. This wasn't a fringe idea. It was echoed from city halls to the Senate. The former mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, said plainly, we should abolish ICE. We should create something better, something different. During her presidential campaign, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand said of the agency, get rid of it, start over. Senator Bernie Sanders advocated for breaking up the agency entirely. The message, amplified by allies in the media, was that ICE agents were not legitimate law enforcement officers to be respected, but antagonists to be confronted. The narrative normalized the idea of ICE as villains in the street. When Nancy Pelosi championed sanctuary city policies, she argued that local police refusing to cooperate with ICE made communities safer, and her office has referred to ICE enforcement as a shocking abuse of law enforcement power. It was a sustained campaign to delegitimize a federal law enforcement agency for political gain, and it cultivated a culture of defiance. Then, there's a part of the story that the architects of this narrative conveniently ignore: United States law. Policies from both the Department of Justice and Homeland Security are clear on the use of deadly force. An officer can use it when they have a reasonable belief that a subject poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to the officer or another person. The law is even more specific about vehicles. Federal policy explicitly states that discharging a firearm at the operator of a moving vehicle is prohibited unless the use of deadly force against the operator is otherwise justified. A car, when operated in a manner that threatens an officer, is legally considered a deadly weapon. The politicians who now express shock are the same people who vote on the federal budgets that fund this training. They confirm the agency heads who write these policies. They know this. Consider Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
We must create a system that converts the current flow of primarily low-skilled illegal immigrants into the United States into a more manageable and controlled flow of legal immigrants who can be absorbed by our economy. Let me elaborate. The first of these 7 principles is that illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple. Until the American people are convinced that we will stop future flows of illegal immigration, we will make no progress on dealing with the millions of illegal immigrants who are here now and on rationalizing our system of legal immigration. It's plain and simple and unavoidable.
In 2009, he was unequivocal. Illegal immigration is wrong, plain and simple. He criticized using softer terms like undocumented workers, saying it proved the government wasn't serious. A decade later, that same politician became a leader of the resistance to immigration enforcement, adopting the exact language he once condemned. This is not ignorance. It is political theater. They know the rules of engagement because their branch of government oversees them. Their feigned surprise is an act. This returns the focus to January 7, 2026, and the life of Renée Good, a 37-year-old mother of 3. She was an activist, present at the scene in Minneapolis to, as her family says, observe and support her neighbors. But she was also present in a moment supercharged by years of political rhetoric that told her federal agents were an illegitimate force and that confronting them was heroic. Federal authorities state that she was using her vehicle to obstruct their agents. Video shows a confrontation, her vehicle moves, and Agent Jonathan Ross fires. Ross's statement claims he feared for his life, a fear likely amplified by the fact that he had been dragged by a vehicle in a similar incident just 6 months prior, an event that required 33 stitches. As Vice President J.D. Vance bluntly put it, you might think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile. Renée Good appears to have bought into the story that powerful people are selling. She believed the narrative that defiance was righteous. She followed a script that political elites wrote, and she was the one who paid the ultimate price. While they move on to the next political battle, her family is left with the tragic, real-world consequences of their rhetoric. She became a victim of the very story she was encouraged to champion. For over a decade, a political strategy was deployed that demonized law enforcement for votes. It encouraged defiance as a civic virtue. It created a toxic environment where a citizen might feel justified in physically confronting federal officers. The death of Renée Good in Minneapolis was not an aberration. It was the bill coming due. It was the inevitable outcome when you spend years telling people that the law isn't the law and that the officers who enforce it are Nazis. The abolish ICE rhetoric was not just a slogan. It was a loaded weapon left on the table. Even before this tragedy, some of the architects of this narrative were reportedly backing away, not because it was dangerous, but because, as one congressman admitted, it was too easily messaged against us. The concern was never public safety, only political inconvenience. The question is not just what happened on that street. It is about who is responsible for creating the conditions for it to happen. And the answer is clear. To the politicians who feign shock and demand investigations, you built this. You wrote the laws. You funded the agents. You poisoned the public.
CrossroadsIRL.com